Hello, Night Nation. Trace Trylko here with the Sons of UCF, joined now by UCF head baseball coach Greg Lovelady. Coach, it's been almost a year since we had a conversation following the disruption of the season. I know you've spent a lot of time with your family. No doubt, though, good to be back in full steam with your baseball family.
Yeah, just excited to get back on the field and compete with the guys. I obviously I plan on doing this for a long time, and I've been doing it for a long time. But they get a small window to be a part of this. So just feel bad for the kids that they've had to wait so long, 11 months off and whatnot. But one of the things we teach them is that you can't control a lot of things, and this is something that we can't control. And we kind of, myself included, we sulked for a couple weeks, and just the what ifs and just the sorrow that you felt, but the sun kept coming up and we just had to move forward. But it's also really, really good to just be back to this point. And, I feel like it's been a lot of work from a lot of different people just to get to this point from all over the country, whether it's been at UCF and just all the protocols and things we've had to do to get to here, and the scheduling and the league and all that kind of stuff. And it's good to be back on the field and see these kids, happy doing what they love and competing again here shortly in the next couple of days.
Ask the players during the media availability if they play a little bit of what if. Do you do that? What could have been the 2020 season? Does it creep into your mind?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think for those first couple of weeks afterwards, like it's just kind of the shock and I think there was a lot of what ifs. Like, man, what if we were playing? What if we were able to do this? And and then some of the media stuff does some, like what could have been or what would have been happened, stuff like that. So you had to deal with that and whatnot. And so it was difficult for a couple of weeks, but at the end of the day, like, again, we had to move on. Like, life kept moving forward, and we had to too. So you had to kind of close the book, and but we also take a lot with us from last year, I think. And I think hopefully that'll, confidence wise and the experience that some guys got, that we're able to use that as we springboard forward.
You've mentioned the challenges in putting together a schedule. Talk a little bit more about that and what you like about the schedule and what you think it certainly will present your ball club with as challenges.
Yeah. I mean, it was tough, obviously just starting back when you started making budget cuts back in June and July, just a lot of questions on what was going to happen. The schedule has been done for a couple of years. So, I kind of took the approach of, I'm just going to let time handle itself. I don't want to make any decisions too early. All the people that we were playing, they weren't ready to cancel or whatnot. So we kind of said, let's just wait and see. Like, when it happens, there's going to be a lot of different changes, and I don't want to make a bunch of changes and then the league comes out and says we're only going to play league games, because then I would have wasted time and energy on stuff that I didn't need to waste time and energy on. So I waited, and then obviously when all the conferences started announcing stuff on Christmas to maybe early before Christmas, but January 1st, man, like, it was a rough 2 weeks. Like, I didn't sleep very much. I was on the phone, like, canceling stuff, getting stuff canceled, trying to find partners, trying to figure out how that partnership was going to work, how to get the schedule the way it was, obviously with our new league schedule and no midweek games, and trying to put the pieces together and trying to find the right partners to fill those pieces and those holes. So it ended up coming together, I think, pretty well. I think it's a very challenging schedule. Obviously we play some really, really good teams, obviously top 5 team in Ole Miss, and top probably 10 team in Florida State. And, again, FAU, Jacksonville, Liberty, those are all teams that have a chance to win their league. FAU, I mean, these all have chances to win their league. And so it's definitely a challenge. We're also on the road a little bit more than usual. So that's going to be challenging, and how the guys handle that. But it also allows us to challenge ourselves and put ourselves in a good situation at the end of the year. Playing at Ole Miss puts us in a regional, super regional type atmosphere against a regional, super regional type team. Same at Florida State. So we're putting ourselves in situations that I think prepares us. It allows us to gauge our team and where are we at, and what we want to be at the end of the year. Some of the challenges we have early in the season kind of give us a gauge of, okay, if you want to be that type of team that we say we want to be, and we did X, Y, and Z against these teams, and here were some of our weaknesses, we need to make sure we're better at those and get better at those and practice those and really push. And there's your measuring stick, and how do we compare against, again, last year we went to Auburn, and it was like, okay, that's going to be a top 20 team. Like, how do we measure up against those guys? And winning and losing is not really the measuring stick. I mean, winning's obviously great, and that's better than losing, but it also isn't, you could lose all 3 games and say, man, we went toe to toe, and it's just one of that big hit or that big pitch or that one error. Like, okay, that's what those big games against really good teams comes down to, is who makes the least amount of errors and who gets the big hit. We got to be better at that. So we got to find a way to practice that. And when those moments come in, and whether it's the first inning or the ninth inning of another game, understand like the importance of it and stuff like that. So it's a great measuring stick to schedule. Again, at some point we got to go on the road, whether it's a regional, super regional, or the College World Series, we got to be on the road. So you got to be able to win games on the road. So, it challenges us in that range. So I think it's challenging. I think it's fair. And I think it gives us a great opportunity to really prepare ourselves for our conference and for the postseason.
As a result of COVID, athletes get that extra year of eligibility. From a baseball perspective, what does it mean, roster management, and the challenges that now come with that for you?
Yeah, it's been difficult. Obviously just challenging. Just trying to stack two classes on top of each other, have more classes. NCAA gave us some leeway with terms of trying to have more than 35 guys and seniors not counting and whatnot, and able to do some scholarship stuff. But we weren't in a terrible situation. I think we were in a very fair situation, just the way that we recruit and how many guys we want on our team. We put us in a good situation to allow us to coach and develop and do those kind of things. But it'll be interesting for next year. I mean, it just keeps going. It's not a 1-year deal. It's going to be a 3 or 4 year kind of issue that we're dealing with. And, it's just something that at the end of every season, we got to figure out ways to, over the summer to get to where we want to be in terms of numbers and what the NCAA has us at. So definitely interesting, but obviously, only having one senior come back, that helped. Losing a couple of guys to the draft, that helped. We had some guys transfer that we're probably going to redshirt, that didn't want to have to do that again, knowing that every single person was coming back, and they probably going to have to redshirt again. I've been 2 years away from baseball. So, some of that attrition obviously naturally happens and whatnot. So, but left us in a good situation and in a good spot. So,
one guy not on the roster, Dalton Wingo, what will not having him be the impact on your offense, and how do you look at your team from an offensive standpoint?
I mean, I think obviously the bad thing is you just have an experienced guy that would be 22 years old and, been through the ringers of would have been his 4th year, so that definitely, could be a definite positive. But I think, obviously we had so many guys back that played every day, and we added 2 really good freshmen that, a middle of the order type guy, would have made our lineup a little bit deeper and pushed us a little bit. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. And you kind of didn't really expect him back in the first place because of the draft. Obviously with the draft shortening, we thought there was a chance we'd get him back, but obviously made the decision just to move on with his life. And we obviously respect that and wish nothing but the best for him. So, but at the end of the day, I feel like the guys that we have back, the Peñas, the Rathbones, the Romanos, the Jostins, the McCabe's and Crouches, those guys all are experienced, have gotten a ton better. And then you start adding some of those guys at the bottom, that played every day, Archers and Orlando's, and the 2 freshmen, Freeland and Montez. We feel like we're pretty good offensively. We have the experience we need and the growth from last year, I think, with enough players to make up for the loss. You
think you have enough power on this team?
Yeah, I do. I think Romano has double-digit home run opportunities. I think Jostin can hit double-digit home runs. I think Romano can hit double-digit home runs. I think Peña can push 10 home runs, be somewhere in that 8 to 10 range. I think he can do that. I think Ben McCabe can do it. I think Crouch could do it. So I think we got 6 guys that have the potential to hit 10 home runs. So I think there's plenty of power. And again, you get the young guys at the bottom. Archer's hit 2 home runs in the winter. So, not that he's a 10 home run guy, but I think he can hit some. I think Freeland has the potential. I don't know if he can do it this year, but he has the potential to be a 10 to 15 home run guy down the road. I think we have plenty of power. We're going to be dynamic as always. We're going to be able to steal bases, have some guys that hit the ball around the park, drive some runs in. If we got to find a way to win, by scoring 15 runs, we have that type of offense. But we also have the offense that if you got to win 1-0, we can do that too. So, just happy with the way Ted and Andy and now Chris have really developed our offensive guys and matured them, and guys have worked hard in the weight room with Jeremy. So, we're a better offense than we were last year, I think. And Pablo, Pablo has the ability to hit 10 home runs too. I didn't mention him. So, we got guys that can do it. It's just, what is their mentality like and how do they handle the day-to-day grind? And, the confidence from last year, but not also being overconfident will be a big thing that I look for.
Always competition for spots going into the opening weekend series. How many positions are still up for grabs in terms of a starting slot?
I think we're going to be a little bit different where we move some guys around based on, I think, normally I think we've been like 7 deep, you know what I mean? Where we've had 7 really good hitters. And then it's like, you're trying to platoon or figure out who those bottom 2 guys are. I think we're like 11 or 12 deep now. Like where if you told me, hey, these are your 9 starters out of these 12 guys, last year I would have been jacked up. And the year before I would have been jacked up. Like this is the deepest offense we've had, but it also allows me to do different things where who matches up well against the starting pitcher, whether it's right on right or left on left. What are those splits like? Does this guy hit sinkers better than high RPM elevated fastballs? Does this guy hit sliders better than curveballs? Like, what is the 9 best guys for this pitcher? Not this right-handed pitcher, but this pitcher. What does that pitcher stats say? What are his splits and all that? So I think I can dive deep into a lot of different analytical stuff and really mix and match some lineups. I mean, I think obviously the top 4 or 5 guys are pretty set in on what they're doing, but when you get to that 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I think you can mix and match and stack some lefties in there, stack some righties in there, stack some different matchups in there, and be able to kind of put our best lineup on the field that's going to give us the best shot to win that day. So I think that, a lot of the, 4 or 5 jobs are going to be moving parts every game, at least for the first couple of weeks, and see if anybody, takes that kind of bull by its horn or steps up their game or proves that they should be the everyday guy no matter who we're playing.
Defensively, what do you like about the club? How are the gloves? And, no doubt your pitchers are looking to that as well.
Yeah, obviously our outfield defense, I think really, having Jeffrey in center field changes everything, but Pablo and Rathbone are guys that can run that, we talk about having a no-fly zone out there, and we feel like we got 3 guys that can shrink the field. At the end of the day, there's a bunch of acreage, and you want people that can shrink that acreage down so that there's least amount of, space for those balls to fall. So I feel like in the outfield, we have that. In the infield, just the consistency of being able to every day. You've got a chance to play 2 freshmen on the infield dirt at any one time. So, just the infield play has got to be more consistent. That'll probably be one of the big question marks is how good a defense can we play? We're going to have a really good starting pitching and a good bullpen. So we got to be able to play defense. That's what it comes down to, pitching and playing defense. So how that infield defense, obviously we feel like we got two great catchers. So really second, third, and short, like how those guys really play. Will they get us the easy outs and make the routine plays? That's going to be a big part of our success, I think.
Pitching depth, especially with this schedule, 4-game weekend series. Seems like you've got a lot of depth. You'll be able to present quite a few options on the mound.
Yeah, obviously Colton and Hunter are, I think, 2 of the best pitchers in our league. I think they got a chance to be 2 Friday night guys going 1A and 1B. It really sets the tone for the weekend. And then obviously Surwa, who won't be here for the first week, maybe 2, will be back, and he has the experience and been a Friday night guy in college baseball for a long time. Like he has the ability to be a 1C, And we feel like we have 3 legit starters. AJ Jones has started at Jacksonville on the weekends. He's also started against Florida and Florida State and us. And he has some big time experience and done a really good job, really improved his slider. And Zach Hunsaker has done a great job of growth continuing for his 3rd year. And then you look at the bullpen, I think Jack can sway back and forth until Kenny comes back, or we go to 4 games on a weekend. If we need Jack to start, we've stretched his pitch count out. Like he could end it. He possibly is our best pro prospect. So it gives us depth on the starting rotation, or obviously as a closer, really a guy coming in bumping 95, 96 and can really go after guys. David Litchfield. And so when you mix and match and you only name 4 starters, you've got 3 or 4 guys right there that you think can help you win. And then you got some guys that need to step up. And I think our top 5 guys are better than last year on the mound. It's just the depth. Obviously losing Jeff and Jalen is huge. Those were 2 guys in the bullpen that were, obviously Jeff was the best closer in the country, and Jalen was that Swiss Army knife that could start, come in relief, pitch here, pitch there, pitch multiple times a week. It really gave us that comfort knowing, that he had been through it all and had been in big games and could go out there and really compete. So, so the likes of Nolan Lepkowski and Billy McKay and Ryan Saltonstall, Nick Otilla, Eli McCormick, and then the 4 freshmen that we think really highly of, just have to get their feet wet and kind of learn, on the fly, like where does that maturation process kind of really take over, where they take that next step of maturity and understanding what is expected of them and how to handle the grind. Like we need 2 or 3 of those guys to step up. Then we have the opportunity and the ability to be deeper than we were last year. And so, early on we'll kind of see and who steps up. But we, again, middle of the year to the end of the year, we got a chance to be a better pitching staff. I mean, we're definitely going to be better in the top 5. And then what that depth looks like, we got a chance to go, again, really, really deep on the mound with guys that can really help us win a championship.
Going into a season, do you feel like this is the best club you have on paper during your tenure?
Yeah, most definitely. I think you just add all the different pieces in terms of age, experience, talent, and then depth. I mean, again, the last couple of years offensively, it hasn't been very deep. We just haven't had many guys to go to on the bench, or there was not a lot of competition daily basis at practice to push guys and have that person breathing down your neck that you better perform and play and go out there and work and do all those kind of things. Again, now we're pretty much 12 deep, and then same thing on the mound. Like just that depth just continues to grow, and as those guys mature, I mean, we got a chance to be by far the deepest, the oldest, and the most talented team. I mean, we could end up having 6, 7, 8 draft picks at the end of this year, depending on how some guys do. So really excited about this club. I love the camaraderie. Obviously, the culture my first year was superb. And then, just wasn't where we needed it to be this next couple of years. And last year, just the guys that we brought in, just really buying in and, really making the things that we want to be important, and really changed in the culture in a positive way. And I think that was a big part of why we were so successful last year. So, same group of guys, you know what I mean? So adding again, another freshman group and getting away from the transfer market in terms of we split but my first couple of years, it was like 70-80% transfers, 20% freshmen. Now we flipped that. And that's kind of how you build a program the right way. It just took us forever to get those freshmen here because of the recruiting cycles in baseball that they're committing as freshmen and sophomores. When I first got here, it takes 3 years for them to get here. So my first year, we're recruiting them, then they commit as sophomores. And then 3 seasons, this was really our first class. So last year, our first freshman class, it was really our guys and guys that we had really recruited that well. So now we're stacking those on. And the 20% freshmen that we had before that, the Ben McCabe's and things like that, like those guys fit into what we're trying to do as well. So now you've got 30 something guys that you feel like you've really spent time, built relationships and built the culture the way you want to, on top of the transfers who are coming in. And we do a great job of making sure that they're going to fit into our culture and understand what we're trying to do. And so the AJs and the Kennys, like they've done a great job of buying in and doing the things we ask them to do. So it just puts us depth in terms of culture, buy-in, talent, like the depth in terms of all that stuff is by far the best we've had since I've been here.
Who are some freshmen that could make immediate impacts that fans just don't know their names yet?
Yeah, I mean, obviously on the offensive side, Alex Freeland and John Montez are really special talents. Alex is a switch hitting shortstop. John's a left-handed hitting infielder, can play second or third. John is a very mature approach, a beautiful left-handed swing. Alex is our most toolsy player. I mean, you come to practice for 5 minutes, you'd be like, oh, that's your best player. But obviously just needs the maturity and whatnot of just understanding what this is like at college. And he's been a very highly touted player, and you just got to understand that doesn't work. Just being highly touted doesn't equate to results. So just getting him to understand, and he might need some failure to kind of understand that. But by far, maybe 2 of the most talented hitters we brought in since I've been here. So I mean, it's awesome to see them being able to play as freshmen, and the growth that they're going to have in the next couple of years. I mean, these guys are top draft picks, all conference, all American type kids. So excited to see them as freshmen and really add to our offensive depth. On the mound, Ben Vespi has a chance to be really special, has the wherewithal, the makeup, the competitiveness on the mound, sneaky fastball with some good off-speed stuff. So he definitely will be able to play a role. Zach Bennett, who's a big dude at like 6'4", has our best breaking ball probably on the team. Big angle because he's so tall. With that breaking ball, it's really tough for opposing hitters to really pick up. So I think he's going to be able to help us as well. Again, same thing, those 2 guys, just getting their feet wet and getting them into games and kind of getting those jitters is going to be important for us. And then also Nick Vieira and Vince Bonanni are 2 other guys that have, built both big physical specimens. Nick has a little bit more pitchability, but Bonanni has the highest ceiling out of probably any of our young pitchers. Just with his body, how hard he throws. I mean, he's got a chance. So those 4 pitchers will really make a huge difference on our team. I think, again, middle of the season, I'm excited to see where they're at and see how much they've grown and how much experience they have and how much they can help us in kind of the final part of the season as we get to the most important part of the season.
With the success you've had during your tenure, how have you seen the conversations change with prospects and just that recruiting process and their awareness of the talent and the success at UCF when you're having those conversations with kids?
Yeah, well, I think just, obviously the beginning when you first hear it's about, them having to trust you without seeing the results or being able to talk to other players that have been around for several years. You know what I mean? So now I think the narrative of our players going out back to their high schools, their summer travel teams, things like that, like just spreading the word of what this experience is like, what the experience is like at UCF, what it's like in our program, the development process, the individuality in terms of how we get guys better, how we stress development, how we push guys to be better, but also how we have a culture that allows them to fail. So I think that narrative is getting out there now, where before it was, hey, trust me, this is what we're going to do. This is what the culture is going to be like. Where now it's different. I think that it's something that people are learning about from other people, not just about us. And so, but if they talk to one of our players, if they're on a visit or they, they know each other, or they have a mutual friend and they get hooked up, like they're able to hear from other people, not just us, about what this really is like. And so, there the people, the Ben McCabe's and the Dalton Wingos and the guys like that. I mean, even the Pablo Ruiz's, like Hunter Patterson's. I mean, that was our Hunter and Pablo were our first two recruits that I signed that were really, younger freshmen. They had to buy into what we were saying without really any substance to prove that was going to happen. And so they had to trust us and kind of take a leap of faith. Where obviously the success that we're having, obviously being ranked and doing the things that we're doing, but also again the narrative being spread through the kind of the high school and summer ball ranks, like those are now stories that our players are telling, that it's not just this is what they're telling us is going to happen. There's actual proof in the pudding now of what they said is what is happening, and this is really a great place, and this is really a place that cares about kids and develops them on an individual basis, isn't a cookie cutter, and is preparing them for pro ball and preparing them for the rest of their lives, and allowing them to have experience that they want to talk about. You know what I mean? I think a lot of places you can get a lot of those other things, but also be miserable doing it. I want our kids to enjoy this and have fun. And I think that we've proven now that is what this program is all about.
And speaking with the coaches in softball, men's and women's soccer, they really like the exposure that their sports now will receive in the ESPN family of networks, ESPN Plus. That's something that you've got to like as well. You can recruit or the family to watch your games home or away during conference play.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it helps for a lot of and keeps our families happy and able to be there. Obviously, when we're recruiting kids, especially, I mean, any kid, whether it's a Florida kid, I mean, we're obviously recruiting all over the country to try to bring in 1 or 2 or 3 kids a year from out of state, like to sell to them that their parents are gonna be able to watch every game if they can't come, and do all that kind of stuff. And then also obviously disseminate the information to all the recruits, and any recruit can get on ESPN and see us play every day. I mean, that's just a brand enhancement. It gives our the way that we play. And again, if you can't come to games, like, you want to feel comfortable knowing that, I mean, that's a fun brand of baseball, or that's exciting. Those guys look like they're having fun in the dugout. Like, we want kids to be able to see that. So hopefully this will allow our program to get that notoriety with everybody of what we are all about, and people to be able to see for their own eyes, even if they can't come to the game, what we are all about.
A person would generally say top to bottom, the AAC is one of the top leagues in the country. There's really no top or bottom. I mean, it is a muddled mess. This is good baseball, game in and game out. No matter who you're playing, home or away, you're going to get a hard 4-game series.
Yeah, I mean, it's by far probably the second conference in my mind in the entire country. I think that we can play with anybody in the country. I think that on any given year, all 8 teams can win. I mean, my first year we were picked to come in 8th and came in 1st. Like, I think that can happen every year. Cincinnati, I think, was picked to come in last year, and they won the tournament. Like, I mean, you got teams every day that have dudes on the mound, and they can beat you at any time. And so there's no off weekends. There's no easy weekends. And there's a lot of conferences that are like that might be very good up at the top, but at the very bottom, they're not nearly as good. And it gives some breath that teams are allowed to take. Like, we don't get a breath, like, at all, ever. Even when you're in 8th place after the midway point, like, you're still usually in it in a chance. I mean, last year, I think 5 teams in the last weekend had a chance to win the regular season title, like, or 2 years ago. Like, that's crazy. Like, to be that deep and to really have the talent level that we do. I mean, I wish we got more respect. I mean, I feel like we are the second best baseball conference. I wish that all of our institutions and people around the world you know, in the baseball world just understood that and gave us more credibility and you know, just more availability to the rest of the world to say like, hey man, like these guys are pretty good. Like it's again, maybe the SEC is better, and that's to me that's it. Like there might be some better teams in other leagues, but not from top to bottom. I don't think there's anyone better than us other than the SEC.
And the American shows what it can do when it plays those other conferences, including the SEC.
No doubt.
Showed with Auburn. ECU picked to be the favorite. Again, who knows as it all shakes out, whether a team's picked 7th and could win it all. But ECU, you know what you're getting. Good year in and year out, competitive, strong pitching, and you got to go there. It still goes through ECU, but UCF's going to have a say in who wins this league.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, obviously they did top dog. I mean, they've been the most consistent and won the most games and been the super regionals and had a chance to go to the World Series. I mean, they were 90 feet away from going to the World Series a couple of years ago. Like, I mean, they've been the gold star in terms of the consistency. But again, they got to go out and prove it, just like we got to go out and prove it. And so, I mean, I think all the teams are understand that we all have the ability to do great things. We all have the ability to win the championship. So, it doesn't matter whether it's ECU or South Florida or Cincinnati or Memphis, whatever. I mean, every weekend we got to be ready to play, and we got to understand that you know, we have the mantra of today's the most important game of the season. Today's the most important day of the season. Like we have to be able to make sure that we worry about today's practice and then go out and have that same kind of focus tomorrow at practice. And then we're going to worry about FAU on Friday, and then we'll wake up and Saturday will be the most important day of our season, the most important game. We got to continue that mantra to understand that we can't look forward. We can't worry about the clash with ECU. We know it's coming, but we got to focus on the things that we can't control, and those are the days that are in front of us. And it's gonna be awesome. I mean, I think it's gonna be a great season of baseball in this league, and you know, I'm excited to go to battle against all the guys and all the coaches and all the athletes.
And you've been very free in saying that you're very grateful to be able to do what you love and have baseball back and have your players doing what they're so passionate about after all that's gone on around us. It's good to say play ball and get back to business for UCF baseball.
No doubt it is. I'm excited for these kids to go out there and compete.
Greg Lovelady, thank you so much for joining us, Sons of UCF show. We wish you good luck in this 2021 season.
Thanks, Trace. Appreciate you having me.